We are grateful that this programming is supported in part by funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with the City Council. For tonight's conversation, we are delighted to welcome a Blade of Grass Fellow Jody Wood. Yay, Jody. And the following participants from her project, Beauty in Transition. I'm going to read these out of order to reflect this order instead. Joann Copeland. Yes. Carol Thomas, Jerry Anderson, and Nahomie Marcena. Yes, thank you so much for coming here tonight. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to a Blade of Grass Programs Director, Elizabeth Grady.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks for coming out. This is really exciting to us. This is the very first time we're doing this particular series, Reports from the Field Live. And the idea is this. These projects are projects that happen out in the world, and so you can't just go to a museum and see them, you have to participate. And if you can't be there in the flesh during the real thing, how do you get a sense of what it feels like to be there and to take part? And so we've invited these folks here today to share with us their experience and help us to understand why they were excited about it, how it was for them to take part in Jody's project, and kind of how they view the experience of socially engaged art in general. So I want to basically take a back seat and let them tell their stories. And we'll start out with Jody, who's going to tell us a little bit about her project. She'll do it better than I will, and then we'll open it up.
Okay, so I'm going to just really briefly introduce the project and tell you a little bit about it. So in a nutshell, it's a mobile salon. It's a hair salon on wheels that visits homeless shelters and provides free hair care. So we partnered with about 9 different shelters in Brooklyn and Manhattan over the course of 3 months to do this service. And I think it's really cool kind of a format that we're doing tonight, where we're each sharing kind of our own individual perspectives, because this project, because of a lot of privacy issues, it was very closed to and inaccessible for a broader audience. But I think it's still really important to share a conversation and extend the conversation about this, because homelessness is a very invisible, hidden topic in society. So I think it's good to try to share that. And I guess a little bit of background. So as an artist, I feel like I'm kind of constantly in the position where I'm asking people to do things that they're really uncomfortable with, or like slightly uncomfortable with. So a lot of my performance art and my community-based art, I'm asking people to do something that's a little uncomfortable, because I'm really interested in accessing this disarming kind of space of openness that happens when you are doing something uncomfortable that makes you vulnerable with another person. So Beauty in Transition, it's providing hair care to people without a home. But what it's really doing is it's creating kind of space for a one-on-one intimate contact in order to disarm a social stigma that keeps people isolated, people who are homeless isolated. So yeah, it's, I feel like there was kind of an amount of risk for both the stylists and for the people who agreed to have their hair done. So everybody's kind of walking out on a limb to participate in this. And this is something that I don't think that the footage really captured how like weird and kind of awkward it was to walk into the back of a truck to get your hair done. But like every single person who walked in kind of had the same response. They're like, oh, this is actually kind of nice. Like, it was a surprise, it was nice. Carol, I think it was like, you asked me to come do hair in a truck and I didn't know what to expect. And it's really important to me that it is in a truck, because I see this as like a kind of a transportational space that has the power to transport people into an environment that isn't really part of everyday reality. I got varying response from different participants, kind of comparing it to different things like a campfire or like an unformatted experience, or I think Naomi called it a family cookout. So kind of experience. So I really like the idea of this family of strangers forming. So yeah, that's all I really want to say for now.
Yeah, I wonder if each of you could just briefly introduce yourself, because we know your names, but we don't really know how you came into contact with the project or what your role was. And so if you could share that with us, I think that would give people a little bit of a sense of the bearings of the project.
Okay, my name is Joann Copeland, and I met Jody through a shelter in Manhattan that I am in. And I am a hairstylist from California, and I transitioned to New York, back on the East Coast, to be with my family because I had a mother that was sick. I mean, my mother is still alive, but she was sick, so to be closer. And I have a brother in Brooklyn, and so I decided instead of staying in Connecticut that I wanted to be in New York, which is more like where I was in California, in the LA area. But when it was brought to my attention that she was coming with her truck for Beauty and Transition, I asked the director, because I was a stylist, was it okay if I was to come on board and to assist? And she readily agreed, and that's how I met her. And we have developed a beautiful relationship, and I learned a lot, and I got to work with the people that I stay with and also other people. And it just was a beautiful experience, and it opened a lot of doors for me.
I'm Carol Thomas. I am the owner of Just Because You're There Salon. We're located in Brooklyn, Fort Greene area. And I simply got a phone call from Tanisha telling me about the project, working on this truck. And, working with women in a shelter. And I said, well, okay, good. I'll give you 3 days. And that was basically it.
Yeah, okay. They were there also, so they were there the very first day and also the very last day. Yeah, so you
I ended up
get
getting
more than
more than 3 days.
Oh, hello. My name is Jerry Anderson, and my story is entirely different from all of these women. I was incarcerated for 15 years, and fortunately, I came home, and now I live in Fortune Society. And Fortune Society has given me a great foundation just to build off of. And I met Jody Woods through Fortune. She came to one of our Thursday night meetings, and she introduced herself. And what happened was she said that she had a traveling salon. So was anybody going to volunteer? So immediately I volunteered because I'm a barber. I cut hair. This is what I've been doing for maybe the last 35 years. So I didn't know what I was getting into. But when I seen the truck, I said, this was amazing. Somebody could think of something like that. You see trucks selling hamburgers and trucks selling sneakers and boots and clothes, but never a salon. And it really amazed me. And I'm really fortunate to really get to meet Jody and work with her and some of the women that's been coming through. I mean, it's been really amazing for me. I volunteered my time, and I'm just trying to give back. Back and move forward. So, and Jody's given me the opportunity, really. I've met a lot of people. Nikolai's sitting right there. And through Fortune, I met a nice lady, Miss Nancy. And I've had a nice time. And she was a friend, but now she's my sister.
Nice, Jody.
My name is Nahomie Marcena. I was invited by my boss, Olivia Carol Thomas. Well, this is like a journey for some people, maybe a volunteer or whatever you want to place everything as. But for me, it was more like an experience that actually touched female lives. Because the hardest people to touch is females. They say men and women, but we actually went into a place that everybody was sheltered. It's not only, it's called a homeless shelter for a reason, but people as general always shelter their heart. So to become a part of something like Beauty in Transition in the truck, and it was different. Because when me and Carol was sitting there talking about it, we like, what? She's like, well, I didn't think about this. I'm like, you think about a lot of things and not realizing, you know, when your mind thinks something and somebody else might think something, you could put it together and somebody actually call you and say, hey, you want to do a volunteer in the truck? You're like, what truck? You never seen actually a salon in a truck. You see, like he stated before, you see food, you see sneakers, you see a lot of stuff, but never an actual salon. So for you to actually open a salon for females who's actually not able to go to a salon, not because they don't have the money, that sometimes you feel ashamed or embarrassed, or maybe even feel insecure to actually sit in a salon seat and not being judged or looked at different. Because you're actually going to pay for the service, but then somebody else might be whispering behind your back, maybe you might look different. But when they came with open arms, we came with open arms, we came with a smile. I think that's what breaks the ice, once you start smiling at people and then I feel like they're being threatened. So, you know, that actually opened a window of beauty in the transition itself. So, heal a lot.
You know we love you.
Okay, so a couple of you have said that like this idea of the salon in the truck was just this crazy idea and like nobody ever heard of it before. What made you sign up? Like what made you, like what prompted you to do it? Jody, what prompted you to do it? And for everybody else, what made you say like, wow, a salon in a truck, I've got to be there?
Well, for me, it wasn't really about the truck. It was about the project itself. You know, I figure, well, you know, I'm a hairstylist. I know exactly what it is that I need to create my craft. So I figured once I got there and I got my scissors and I got my comb, I can do whatever. But it was just the idea of the project itself, of just going to a shelter and just helping women, just making women beautiful. And for me, I took everything. I took color, I had a little makeup. I mean, I provided everything that a salon that would be. I created every service in my mind. Actually, I created every service that I would have provided in a salon to take with me. I mean, I'm sure when Jody saw me coming with my big bag, she was wondering, what's all this? You know, just you know, because I didn't know exactly what to expect. Just in case someone needed, whatever someone needed, I wanted to be able to provide that service. So for me, it wasn't about the truck. It was just the, just the project itself.
You know, for me, I thought when she said it was driving a salon, I thought we was going to be riding around in the truck while we was doing the hair. But when I got here, and I was the only barber. So, and I can only come when we went to family shelters. See, women they was going all the time. I think I got a little jealous about that because I wasn't invited all the time. But when I went and I seen the truck and I seen what it was all about, I was kind of happy, and I was it made me feel kind of good to give a service back, just to give back. Because, like I said, I've been incarcerated for a while, and I just had to move. I just had to get out and do something. And Jody provided that for me. And I'm grateful. I really am.
Can I just say one more thing? And the truck have water. We're able to shampoo. And air conditioning.
Yeah.
So, you can just do that.
All of a sudden, I asked them if they could help out in the truck, and like, first question, is there AC? Like, that was so mandatory. Yeah, so we had AC.
And the plant.
Yeah.
Plant was.
It's still alive.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I would like to say for me that the experience, as soon as I entered into the truck and I saw the salon, I was really impressed. Because, first of all, I love my craft and I love being a beautician. I love every aspect of it, the makeup, the hair, even when it comes down to fashion. And for me, for her to say yes, that I can help her and assist with her, and I met some other stylists that were helping her, we just like clicked when I got in and I introduced myself and everyone else introduced themselves. It was like teamwork. Okay, we're gonna shampoo this person and we're gonna blow dry this person and we're gonna color this person. And the thing for me is that some of the people that came onto the truck were excited to get their hair done, and we had someone videotaping. And then there were some that didn't want to be videotaped for the same reason that she says, because they're embarrassed or they didn't know who was going to see the video. Some people feel like, you know, things happen in life and you become homeless and people judge you. And the majority of the time they do, because I stay in a shelter myself. And I had to make a decision that I would do this, and it took a lot for me to do this, but pride sets in, everything sets in, because I've always been a pretty successful person, but things happen in life, you know what I'm saying? So you shouldn't, my idea of a person being in a shelter was, oh, if a person's in a shelter or I'll say homeless, it's because they were on drugs, or they're alcoholics, or they're from domestic violence or something like that, but that is not true, because there's so many people that have been across that threshold because of economics, because of divorce, and because of drugs or alcoholism, or just being able to have a place to stay because they had a slum landlord, or they lost a spouse, and then all of a sudden all the bills are on them and they were a housewife, or they became handicapped and they had a condition where they can't no longer work for themselves. So people are in shelters for all different reasons. But as far as the women part of it, what female doesn't feel good about themselves? To me, when I look good, I feel good. If I'm sick and I get up and I fix myself up and do my hair and put on my makeup and dress myself, even though I'm not feeling good, I feel better. You know what I'm saying? So for her to bring this, I was really excited about it. First, because she said yes, that I can work with her, and I got to meet a lot of people. And second, because it was an idea to me about being a mobile stylist, and I also am a barber. I got my license in California in '99, so now I have a New York license, so I could just, the ideas are just, sky's the limit of what you can do. And I appreciate Jody, because she just took my idea to another level. Okay, so we can have a mobile salon where you can go to places that people can't come to you, or to senior citizen homes, or to not only just to shelters, but maybe to projects or to places where people can't get out. You know what I'm saying? And all of these stylists that are here, our services are being volunteered, and I'm sure you ask some people would they do it, and if they weren't getting paid, they didn't want to do it, but I do it because I do it from my heart. That's what I love to do. Of course, I like to do it for the money and to get paid, and it is a profession, but the number one thing is doing it because I like making a good difference.
Okay, so yeah, I think you touched on a lot of points that, it's becoming really increasingly obvious that it doesn't matter if you have the job skills or the education or the experience, you're not always going to be be prevented from finding yourself in a homeless shelter. It's getting easier and easier for anyone of any walk of life to find themselves there. And I mean, one of the questions that I guess maybe the motivation or question about the project is asking, like, is beauty essential need for survival? And I think this is like a question that maybe every single artist on the planet asks himself. Like, is art essential? Is beauty essential? So that's really one of the questions I'm looking at. What is the shelter providing? Like, what kind of services are being provided? So.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
I think that it is essential, and I can say this because, you know, we were at the shelter, you know, week after week after week, and we were able to see some of the women that we provided this service to, and how they maintain their hair. You know, some we had to give them a haircut, some we had to give them color, but just how happy they were in comparison to the very first moment that we met them, the very first moment that they came in on the truck. And to know that the week after I saw them, they were, you know, I passed them in the hallway or passed them on the street, or they would come by the truck, and they were so very happy, you know. So I do think that beauty is definitely necessary for, you know, for a person. I really do.
My opinion, I agree, 100%. Because 14 years ago, I mean, there's no need to explain how you got there. But I was also in a shelter, but that's 14 years ago. Nobody would ever look at me and tell me, oh, you were there before. I was young, and certain things happened, and, you know, life changed. But if I had someone like Jody in the place where I was, it would enlighten a lot of females. Because there's situations that, as a woman and as a young, maybe a teenager, you look different, you feel different. And if you get somebody to touch you in a different way, your heart is touched. You feel like there's people still out there who actually cares. Not only for money or for fame, but it's actual genuine care. That's the difference these females actually saw. When we came in, they saw genuine people, not seeing like, oh, you're here for something, or you're actually here on a Sunday. Oh, wow, don't you do this or don't you do that? Because usually Sundays are family time, or you stay home, but you actually stay here past the time to actually assist these females. And sometimes we already finished before the time. We just sat there, have a conversation, and enjoying ourselves. So when I see Jody actually putting beauty and say, is beauty art? Of course it's art. Because if you actually put certain things together and you put like a picture, the arm don't go on top of the head, and you don't put it like the shirt don't go on the legs. It actually, something actually have to coincide. So if you actually put the beauty and the art together, you're like, oh, this is a beautiful picture. Oh, wow, this is a beautiful haircut. Oh, look at the makeup. Look at the lipstick. You know, everything has its place and everything has a time for everything. So when she came in at the particular time, these females were in need. In your eyes, you might say, oh, this is beauty or this is nothing relevant. But the art of it is when you finish the actual project. Everything is done, everything is beautiful, and she's actually, this is a masterpiece. So that's where the art actually simplified and exemplified the beauty in it. You actually see the finishing touch. Not the before, because sometimes that don't look too beautiful. It looks okay, but when you finish, you're like, wow, this is beautiful. This is nice. You actually put more compliments behind it. It's an umph we females need sometimes.
You know, actually, at first, I didn't know it was an art project until Jody invited me to something similar to this. But it was people in her community, in the art world, and that night I found out that that was an art project. And I was really amazed by that. For somebody to think of something like that as a project, art. And I mean, if you come inside and you see that, when I first went inside, the floors had tiles on it, the ceilings had lights. I couldn't imagine when I first walked in there what it would be like when I seen the little truck. But it had a lot of space, and we was able to get the job done. you know. And Nikolai was there filming it all. There you go, right there.
It was actually a 3-station salon
Yes.
with the shampoo area.
So, one thing that I'm curious about is, I mean, it sounds like this was like a really kind of an intense experience. If you had to pick one moment or one story that was most meaningful to you, what would that be?
One story. For me, it was just how the woman cared about each other. You know, because there was this one particular, I think she was a young girl, she was maybe in her 20s, and she must have had a stroke or something. And, you know, I shampooed her, gave her a haircut, curled her, and they were so concerned as to how was she gonna be able to manage and who was gonna help her to maintain the hairstyle. So that to me was, you know, that was amazing to me. Yeah, that was, you know.
I think for me it was the guy, we was on, I think the west side, and I think we got a picture of him. Oh, right there? That's actually at Fortune. That's at the Fortune Society. That's Miss Nancy right there, sitting right there, and that's old man Hutcher doing his hair. But it was a guy at one of the shelters that he wanted a mohawk, right? And he was really nervous. Do you remember that? The guy came in, he wanted the mohawk, and he was kind of nervous because he thought I wasn't gonna do it, or I didn't want to do it. And I just sat him down and and Jody came over to me and said, "Oh, you're really good with these guys, you know." And I just said, you know, I'm just doing me, you know. So but the guy, he was kind of nervous. Then I just talked to him for a minute and got him to relax and just did my job. And yeah, that's probably the most memorable. But you know, Joann was talking about she was in a shelter. Fortune is just like a shelter. It's a transition program. And I speak about Fortune because, like I said, it's given me a foundation. But they have many, many opportunities at Fortune. A lot of these shelters that people in, if you go inside and you see them, like Ward's Island and Bellevue, they're not like Fortune. We have people coming from around the country just to come to our Thursday night meeting. And let me tell you, everybody here is welcome to the Thursday night meeting at Fortune. We have meetings every Thursday night at 6 o'clock, and the building is full of men like myself and women who were formerly incarcerated, who's trying to get their lives back together and trying to do something with their lives. Fortunately, I had an opportunity to volunteer. I volunteered at a number of things now, co-drive during Christmas holidays, and they have an elderly clinic that I go to where they have disabled people, and right now I'm volunteering there. So, you know, it's just about, like I said, me giving back. And a lot of the guys in Fortune, they do the same type of thing. They try to obtain work, employment, and everything. Some of them are going to school, but it's just like let me see, a little upgrade, you know, type of shelter. But they offer many programs. They got a building in Long Island City, whereas they help people with employment and certain type of classes, culinary arts and stuff like that. So, you know, I wish all the shelters could have the people in there can have the opportunities that we have. But like I said, most of the guys, matter of fact, even the staff at Fortune, a lot of them are formerly incarcerated. So they know what we go through. So, and they give you a lot of help, you know. Like I said, that's where I met Joe, and I'm thankful and grateful. If I tell y'all this, watch your blush. Jody's gonna be fit.
She's ready.
She told me not to say it. She told me not to put that in. Well, I just had to.
Say something.
One of the, I think, good experience or memorable experience is actually seeing people who don't know each other actually get together and form like a family. Because some families don't get along. Honestly, everybody has an issue. You know, when you get into a family environment that's already inviting, and Jody's like, hey, you don't find somebody to say hey automatically, or open their arms and give you like a welcoming smile or a hug. It's hard, because that's the problem now. People don't know how to express themselves. So when we went to it was actually in the truck, some people's like holding back, and then everybody at the end of the finishing touch, everybody's giving hugs. And that makes your heart melt. You like trying to hold a tear back or two because you got your own issues, but you didn't realize you impact all these females in a different way. And Jody don't know what she did, but when we came back weeks after weeks, everybody still had their hairstyle. And then some of them actually had strokes. Some people can't reach their back. You know, there's limitation between keeping your beauty up. But for her to give that inspiration, that means they could continue doing it without her assistance. She just gave them that that, you know, this is just start, but then you could finish it. This is just a beginning. I'm just helping you the first step. By the time you finish, you're like, hey, I got my inspiration from Joe. So, see, I love you, girl.
I can say from my experience, when she came to the shelter, which is a shelter for people that are 50 or older, and like I said, people are there from all walks of life. Some people are there for domestic violence. Some people are there because they have an illness. A lot of people, I mean, we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have stylists, we have people that have been working all their life. We have a few people that have mental problems, dementia, and stuff like that. So I don't want to keep emphasizing ladies because I know there's gentlemen in here too. So men take haircuts too. I do haircuts, I do facials, I do all of that. But when you're in a particular environment and a situation, just like he said, people judge you. You know what I'm saying? People will judge you and look at you, oh, look at you in a shelter, or look at you, or whatever. They look down on you. You know what I'm saying? I always say we live in a society of the haves and the have-nots. But everybody still has a heart and everybody has feelings. So what I got out of it was that when we did the ladies that we did, they were so happy and so elated. A lot of them I do anyway. You know what I'm saying? But when they heard that there was a truck coming and they wanted to know when you were coming back so they can get their hair done, washed, and, you know, shampooed and blow dried and colored or whatever the service was. The pride that comes from wherever you are in life or society, even if you're in a depressed state of mind, that somebody cares. And when somebody opens up their hand and their heart to you and they don't know anything about you and they judge you, you know, people, if you ride on the subway and you see homeless people or you see people that beg and all that kind of stuff, you know, I try not to judge anyone because you never know where you're going to be in life. You know what I'm saying? But I try not to judge. Some people I can embrace and some people I don't. Some people do it as a need and some people do it as a prank or, you know what I'm saying, they take advantage of situations. But for me, when she came, the best thing for me was her saying yes, that I could work on her truck with her. And I met a lot of beautiful people. Some of the stylists that I work with, I'm telling you, we worked together like we knew each other, worked in the salon for years. And I got double blessed because she got to introduce me to stylists that I did some networking and I went to their salon and the owner let me come and show what I could do. And one of the models was the lady right there. She was one of my models and I did her hair and he was very, very impressed. To the point where he decided that he wanted to do whatever he could do to assist to get my New York license. So I have my New York license. Get on.
It's really hard to pick out like one moment that was really special, but there was one day that I felt like the project was really, really tested, and it was actually at Fortune Society, so there was just this crazy day where like the battery died in the truck and it wasn't starting and I couldn't get the parking spot that I reserved because somebody was in it, and the most famous hairstylist, Joe Blackwell, was showing up in 15 minutes, and so it was like a disaster, and quickly like we kind of worked with Fortune to go upstairs and use their kitchen, and there's some pictures here too of us doing hair in our kitchen. And I was like, oh man, this is not gonna work, like there's not a real sink. But it ended up, I mean, everyone really worked together as a team. Jerry was there working as a team. And I just overheard on some audio that, oh Matt, hey, that Matt took actually. There was somebody saying like, comparing like having their hair washed to a baptism. Like, I think their words were like, lead me to the water, like, baptize me, right? So I think that that's like really strong to me because it was more than just hair. The water was like more than water. There's something kind of spiritual about what happened there, and there was like, because there was like real healing going on. So this is like what stylists are doing in this situation, and you know, it's like a healing service.
Wow. So that actually leads me into another question that is a little bit more about kind of how a project like this works with the system in general. I mean, the way that, my perception anyway, I mean, you know, I don't have the experience you all have, but my perception of the homeless shelter system is that it's all about kind of cranking people through a system, right? It's sort of this idea where we've got to like serve volumes of people and stuff. And this project, what it did was sometimes people were in the truck for like a couple hours. It wasn't like, okay, there's your 10-minute haircut. So how do you navigate that difference between the way that the system maybe wants to see the project as like, great, now you can provide this service to like 10,000 people today, right? Versus the kind of meaningful interaction that y'all are talking about.
Right, yeah. I mean, I just like, the decision was just so easy in my head. Like it's never easy to say no to someone who wants a haircut or wants a hair color or whatever, and we can't get to them. But to me, that compromise made more sense to prioritize an individualized service rather than giving every single person the same service and giving every single person a little bit. It was giving a really individualized service to fewer people, I guess. So that's, yeah, does that kind of...
Yeah, and so, well, how do you prevent this from, like, what's the future of the project?
Oh, yeah, okay, so that's another thing, because, because I'm really, like, this is a temporary project, right? So I'm really hesitant to think of this as a business model for a continued, sustained, like, a charity service, because, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but I guess I feel like most charity services and nonprofits working on social service issues, they should be in the business of going out of business, really, when you think about it, right? So, so this was a temporary, kind of unexpected service that hopefully inspires other things, but it's not, and also if it becomes a permanent service, it would be run by the community for the community. It's not something that I personally as an artist would want to turn into like a nonprofit or a sustainable service. That's my own angle. I know that there's different opinions, so I think this is like the biggest point of contention. I don't know.
Anybody speak up? Yeah, sure.
I think I'm a little upset right now. Because I was looking forward to going back on the road.
Yeah.
I really was. But it's all right. It was wonderful working with everybody, and I would like to do it again. I mean, I wasn't called on every project because, like I said, sometimes they went to women's shelters and I'm not a stylist. I'm a barber, so I had to wait till they go to family shelters. But I enjoy this.
Are you saying that you?
Well, it was never going to be a longer service than 3 months, but it's bittersweet. Like it's really bittersweet to say like, okay, this project ended, and if it did continue, it would need to be funded obviously, and and then it would have a different life. It wouldn't be an art project anymore. It's not to say that it couldn't happen, but it would be run by by you guys. It wouldn't be run by me. Like that's what I would say about that. So it's not that it's impossible that it can continue. It's just that it would have to continue under different terms.
Okay, for me, I thought it was a beautiful idea, and Jody isn't a stylist, she's an artist. I'm a hairstylist and a barber, which I think of my craft as also art. And with her help and her vision, I would like to be one of the people to pursue to continue it. Even taking the idea of even having a mobile salon and doing it for people that can't afford it, and the ones that could afford it, offering a service to them also. But that's a whole different project. But for me, I'm interested in continuing.
Well, for me personally, it was about the project and just making sure that at that particular moment, that each and every woman that came in that truck, whether it was gonna take 5 minutes or an hour or 2, was provided with the best service that they could get. It was about giving them a salon experience. I knew it was a art project. I mean, I made sure I questioned Tanisha thoroughly about that. So I knew it wasn't gonna be something that was gonna be forever. This is the reason why each time I went in the truck, I would say to Jody, I want this truck. So, that was just my thing. I just wanted to make sure that, each person that came in that truck, that they were getting a quality experience, that they were getting a salon experience. So if it were 5 minutes, and that was, the best we could do, then that was it. If it took 2 hours on one person, because there was someone who needed a weave, and a weave does not take 2 minutes or half an hour, it takes a while. And I made sure that that person got her weave. So, it was just about each person and just making sure that I provided that service for that, that particular service to that person.
One, I'm going to piggyback on what Carol said. I would love for you to continue this project, but it's good because it won't be look like a charity project or a non-profit project. Because some people who's in shelters in particular situations, they feel like they are a project. Like I'm just particularly getting a subsidized income from each person. Just like if you're in foster care, you gain a particular income every month for each person. But in your situation, you made it more personal. You gave the look of not being a stigma, like, you're in a shelter, this is the amount of time you're getting, this is what you have to get, and you're limited. No, all the stylists came with an open mind. Because I work with Carol, she worked with a whole bunch of, not saying non-profit, but helping the community itself. And when she said, hey, I want to help, I want to do certain things, and you came along, she already realized her vision was already coming to pass. Because she couldn't do it anyway, but you just helped her to see that I could do it. Jody's opened my eyes. So for you, you might think it's a project for yourself, but you open other people's eyes in different directions. You got her idea and her job, and I'm going to push Carol to continue doing what she does, because she loves helping people.
Well, just to cut you, I mean, you know, I've been having a discussion of actually continuing with the project and just opening the salon maybe once a month on a Sunday to, you know, provide the services. You know, but I wouldn't want it to be where it's free, but even, you know, because you don't want people feeling that, well, this is you know, a charity, or, you know, especially seeing that it's not a truck pulling up in their, you know, their driveway or whatever. But, you know, to provide like a small fee, you know, maybe $10 or whatever, you know, for whatever service that they need. But I've been thinking about that, and I've been talking about it with the other girls, you know, to see who will come in on a Sunday once a month to continue with the project.
Well, I wonder if this is a good moment to open it up to questions from all of you. And so if anybody has questions, just with one caveat is that we said to everybody is like you should, you know, feel free to answer only the questions that you feel comfortable answering. So with that caveat, please feel free to ask any questions you want. We'll see what answers come out.
I'll just talk about it. Thank you for sharing this project. It's been really inspiring to hear what it was like. I have a question about ownership of the project. Like, clearly, it's Jody's project, and everyone speaks of how, you know, you've touched people's lives and totally inspired all these amazing things as offshoots. But it sounds a lot like, you know, it was a collective project of sorts, and you know, the stylists came on and gave their time, and that it could live on in a new form. So I guess I'm just curious, as an artist myself, like, how did you think of this project in terms of ownership, or were you feeling like you had to, I don't know, how did you speak about that, I guess, or maybe you didn't?
Well, actually, this isn't a new project. It's something that other people have done too. So I'm not the first person to go into a shelter and provide, you know, free hair care. So, so I guess I don't feel a kind of ownership in that, like I've offered an idea of going into a shelter and providing hair care, but this process has been, yeah, and it has been a really collective process. But I think that there are certain important things to me that I wanted to put in place that I don't feel like have been done exactly the same way. Like, I really wanted to be autonomous service. Like, I wanted to be outside of the shelter in a different space that felt like a free space. So that's why I was in a truck, you know, that kind of mobility. I wanted to visit a lot of different spaces too. And that's not to say that that couldn't happen again. I feel like I've been hearing more and more about this, actually, these kinds of things happening. There's like, on the West Coast, there's a shower bus for people who are homeless and on the street, because there's not, like in New York, we have a right to shelter in New York. But on the West Coast, it's not like that. So there's not like a mandatory right to shelter. So there's a lot of more people on the street. So there's a shower bus there, and there was a petition wanting to like join up with that service and provide hair care too. So, I mean, I think it's like happening more and more now. And when I kind of started the seeds for this project, it was actually quite a while ago in 2006, and it was before the economic crash. And really, it was so hard to convince people to get involved. It was just no one. I think that homelessness was also just so much more misunderstood, and now because of economic reasons, like, or at the economic crash, it's like, oh, like, I don't know. It's just easier to understand it, or like it's just the numbers are skyrocketing now. So I feel like more and more projects like this could happen. And yeah, I mean, if this continued on in any way or shape or form by any of the participants or anyone else, I would see that as a positive thing.
Thank you for sharing. I also would like to ask the participants and also hairdressers, at what moment did you feel that you were part of an art project? A part of being the makeover that you described, making art with the hair, what are the other moments that you felt that you were inside an art project? If you feel.
Oh, well, when you do hair, anyway, it's like an art, because you create it for the person that you're doing the hair for. So but the project itself, it was just walking inside of it. You see what Jody created, so, and to be a part of it, and then to give that service also, you know, for me, like I said before, it was a wonderful thing, you know, and I enjoy giving that service, and I hope it will continue. And any one of these nice ladies would pick up the project, they sure can call on me.
That's good to know.
I would like to say that I've always thought that hairstyling and makeup and fashion, all of that was a part of art. And anything pertaining to beauty is artistic. As far as the project with Jody is concerned, I think it was, and this is my personal opinion, I think it was a beautiful idea that was birthed out of whatever reason she felt like she wanted to do it, but you have to look at the big picture, you know, because art is just not on a piece of paper. I think when I do someone's hair, you know, you always have the before and after, and I'm trying to do a portfolio with the before and after. A lot of people don't like to do that, but I'm like, okay, so let me take a picture of what your hair looks like now, and then take a picture of what the finished project looks like. So it's just like painting, when you paint a blank, you know, canvas, and then you put all the colors and you put everything together, and then when you look at it after you finish it, it's like, wow, it's like your imagination can just go wherever.
To answer the question, what make this particular project art, it's to say art is in different forms. It could be a poem, it could be your clothing, it could be hair, it could even be your heart, it could even be particular people, shades and colors. So it depends what you see art is. Because at the end of the day, you do amplify art, because the hairstyle you put, some particular hairstyle you can't even put together unless you put extra pieces. If you want to make it longer, if you want to make it a symmetrical cut, you still have to find a way in your mind, how is that going to go with a particular face? Because every hairstyle do not go with everybody. Like every person, every touch do not go with everybody. So particular art is different. It actually explains to each and every person. Because sometimes maybe I don't want you to touch me. Maybe I just want you to touch my hair. And how you gonna touch my hair if you can't touch my scalp? So that's, every form of art is different ways. It depends upon the person, on how you want to exemplify what art is to you. I just find it as beauty. So when she said beauty, beauty is art, art in transition, and then also art in written form, and every way you could think of art as. Because it's not only beauty. It's, you know, a chair, I could find as an art, a table, you know, so it continues as long as you keep the dream alive.
Well, I did not know that the project was gonna, you know, evolve into this kind of forum, you know, this art forum. I knew it was a project, it was an art project, but I didn't know to exactly what extent or how exactly, you know, what exactly Jody was gonna do with what we were doing on the truck. But I knew it was a project, I knew it was an art project, but not to what extent it was gonna, you know, gonna take form. And to see it evolve from, you know, the phone call about working on the truck, and then working on the truck to, you know, this setting, I mean, it's amazing to me, you know. But, you know, as everyone is saying, being a hairstylist, you're always creating, it's always an art form. So, you know, but for it to come to this level, I was not aware that it was gonna. If that's what you were asking, I'm not too sure if that's what you were asking. But.
I just want to say something really fast. Like, I kind of see art as pertaining to perception too. Like, our perception of reality shapes reality, and our perception of ourself shapes our experience in the world. And so this project is kind of going to that place of also internalization of and self-perception. And I think you guys mentioned in the past too, when people walked into the truck, sometimes they wouldn't look at themselves in the mirror, and then by the end, it was a completely different kind of self-perception that happened. I don't know if anybody wants to touch on that at all, but
How does that happen?
Good evening, my name is Nancy, and I was one of the participants at Fortune when they came, Jody came with Joann. I'm very grateful. She did my hair, they did my hair, and it was a big transformation as the way I was feeling about myself. I did look beautiful after, and it just brought the beauty inside that I still have. Thank you very much.
I think we have time for maybe one more question.
Hi, Jody. Hey. This is really great, and I'm really excited to hear about everything that you did. I know you talked to me about the project as you were doing it. It's just so wonderful to have it open up. I'm going to ask a tough question, and it's the worst question. It's about money, and whether you pay people or don't pay people, or how do you navigate that, and how does that place the project in certain places? Does it go into informal economy? Does it go into charity? Does it go, I don't want to say, I'm not going to say all of the words, but yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, it's not, like, that's one of the reasons why this isn't sustainable as it is. To make it sustainable in a long-term project, people would need to get paid for their time. So the fact that it was kind of located in a very temporary space and time, and I'm asking, 3 times a volunteer service or less. Sometimes salons came in, volunteered 1 time. So, and I also am specifically asking, salons to come donate their time too. Other people got involved because they were like really enthusiastic about the project, and it's a non-monetary kind of transaction that happens. But that's why it's not a business. It's just, yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to answer because she's the actual project coordinator, but I feel that I say a statement to my daughter when I wake up. I say that if you could get up every day and do something for free, you happy with it and you're content, you won't have a problem getting paid for it or not, or volunteering your service once a week. Once you get up every day and say, hey, this is what I want to do, or I love to do, you're going to do it, no matter what the circumstance is. Because sometimes people go to work every day, they don't care if they're getting paid, they just call out sick and say, oh, I don't want to come to work. But if you feel that that's what your is, and that's where your creativity is, you want to do it for free, if it's once or twice a week. So if money travels along the way, it's for you, it will be for you. At the end of the day, you still need support to get where you need to go. Because some people don't start off with a big budget. They start with support first. And support sometimes don't come with a price tag. It comes with actually, you need more support than the money. Because you can have all the money in the world, but then you don't have enough people supporting you behind the project. So it doesn't become successful like it's right now. It's being successful. Because as my boss has said, Carol, she wants to do it once a month in her salon. And that's not a cheap service. But she just wants to give it to a particular, people who want to actually have the service done in a real salon without being looked at or talked or ridiculed in certain ways. So that's how it might work out.
Yeah. And now I'm kind of remembering too, because I I wanted it to be something that was a gift, because I wanted to see what that felt like, what happened out of that, instead of it being like a job. I know it would still feel like a gift and feel fulfilling to do that, but then if it was people coming for money, like, so right away, it was like a commitment level, right? You had to be really committed to want to come out, and like, these are super expensive, time-consuming, highly skilled services. So to give that as a gift, it feels different than doing it as a job, like for money, what you normally do for a client.
You know, really, I never even thought about getting paid. I really didn't. I mean, when you said volunteer, that's what I did. I never even thought about that. I mean, it never even crossed my mind. And right now, today, I've been home for 6 months. I don't have a job. And I was still volunteering my time.
See, that's why, like, I feel like I actually, part of me really does want to see it continue in a different life, because I feel like it would be great to also have this be a job for people who need a job, and those are the people who are running it and getting paid to run it.
Unfortunately, I had a stipend job. It ended last week. It was just 3 hours, 30 hours, like every 2 weeks. But like I said, to just volunteer my time to give back, you know, that really meant something to me. So I never thought about money at all.
I like to say this, as a stylist, I love my craft, and I am going to have it as a job, but as far as this project is concerned, anytime an opportunity comes up for me to do it, if you continue it, I will always do it, volunteer my services and my time, because my pay is being able to give something to somebody that they can't afford to have right now, or they're in a place where they wish that they could, but they couldn't. Even if it's temporarily, or even if it's for the first time, that's my pay. My pay is being able to give something to somebody, my time and my service, and that's what volunteer is all about.
And I think that's really rare in New York too, in a city like this, also because it's such a struggle to survive, that volunteerism doesn't happen as often as like where I'm from on the West Coast, for instance.
Well, what a beautiful place to end. I invite you all to mingle, to have a glass of wine, and I want to give a huge thank you to our wonderful panel. Thank